Today I'll be reacting to the Larry Bird disrespect has gone too far. So let's go right into the video.
So, as you guys know, recently Kevin Durant cracked the NBA's top 10 all-time scoring list, surpassing the late great Moses Malone. And look, while KD at age 35 is still playing fantastic, has great longevity, the overall notion in recent years he's somehow better than Larry Bird, the second best small forward in NBA history, I really don't buy. And former NBA champion John Salley, who's very vocal about these debates, echoed that exact same sentiment.
I think Larry Bird is better than Kevin Durant, but I think KD is either the third or the fourth greatest small forward in NBA history. I think the first two spots is locked with LeBron and Larry Bird. KD can be three or four, because I think that third spot is between him and Julius Erving. Julius Erving was nice, but I probably do give KD the nod just a little bit, but it can go either way, honestly. But I do think Larry Bird is better than Kevin Durant, though.
John Salley, who's very vocal about these debates, echoed that exact same sentiment. As like most NBA fans Salley knows, a player's longevity, while impressive, it's kind of the side dish, the appetizer to the overall meal of an NBA debate. And if you look at Bird vs. KD as individual players' all-time legacies and overall value, I think Bird still clears Kevin Durant pretty easily. As a fact, Bird from day one had an instant impact on his team, the thing few players can say. As Boston in '79, without Larry Bird, only won 29 games, the second fewest in the NBA. Compared to with Bird the very next year, and minor roster changes, they won 61, the best in the East. And pretty important note, KD the first decade of his career never cracked 61 wins until 2017 with the Golden State Warriors. Now, one similarity Bird and Kevin Durant do have is being very injury prone, especially late in their career.
Now, I do think Kevin Durant is a better scorer than Larry Bird, though. I do think that. But Larry Bird is a better all-around player than Kevin Durant, though.
And Kevin Durant do have is being very injury prone, especially late in their careers. But if you look at prime Bird from 1980 to 88, Bird every single year was at worst a top 5 player. As in his rookie year, he finished 4th in MVP. In the next 3 years, was runner-up every single season. And many forget, even 87-88 was still top 3 MVP voting after winning 3 straight, which hasn't been done since Bird. And a major part of winning the MVP is great teammates. And while Larry Bird and Kevin Durant both had Hall of Fame teammates, the way KD won his championships was vastly different than Larry Bird. As in Oklahoma City, despite having Westbrook, a young James Harden, a pretty good supporting cast, he only made 1 finals and won 1 finals game.
Okay, now let me add to that. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. Yes, they made the finals 1 time. But the Thunder pretty much traded James Harden like right after that. In my opinion, I think Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden would have won some rings if they stayed together, but OKC for some reason didn't want to give James Harden some money, or more money, whatever it was. They was being cheap, so they just traded him. I think that messed up the franchise in my opinion. I think KD and Russell Westbrook would have had some rings right now. That's my opinion though.
A good supporting cast, he only made 1.
Well, KD do have rings right now, but I'm talking about like before he even went to Golden State, I think he would have had some rings when it was him, Russ, and James Harden. If James Harden stayed.
Finals and won 1 finals game. Compared to Bird, who won 3 championships, made numerous finals with the team that drafted him. And looking at Bird's best teammates, you have Kevin McHale, Tiny Archibald, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson, and Danny Ainge. Bird had those all-time great teammates at varying points in his career, compared to Kevin Durant, who's had vastly more talent but still less rings. Of course, having Steph Curry, Klay, Draymond, that crew in Golden State, Westbrook, James Harden, Kyrie, and Booker in his post and pre-Golden State era. And the fact KD in Brooklyn failed so miserably is something you can't say about Larry Bird and his overall career. As in Brooklyn, Kevin Durant was basically pseudo-GM, calling the shots, getting the players he wanted, but still failing. The overall structure Golden State had and still has helped Kevin Durant tremendously in winning those 2 championships. And look at the 2017 and 2018 Warriors. It is heavily debated who is the team's best player and their most valuable asset. As many Warriors fans still argue Steph Curry, with the team's MVP both those seasons.
In my opinion, when Kevin Durant was in Golden State, he was the best player on the team. I know a lot of Golden State fans, they might disagree. I know they love Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry been there his whole career. But them 2-3 years Kevin Durant was on Golden State. No, them 3 years he was on Golden State. He was the best player on the team. It was clear as day that Steph was the second option. It was clear as day. Especially when they went back to back. KD won both finals MVPs. Like, it was clear as day KD was the number one option.
Fans still argue Steph Curry with the team's MVP both those seasons. Now, we can have that debate, have that conversation anytime you want to. When it comes to Larry Bird, him being the best player on his championship team was not once ever debated. I mean, look at 84 in the playoffs. For the entire postseason, he ranked first in points, first in rebounds, first in steals, and second in assists, only behind Magic. And looking at his overall numbers, he was averaging well above 25 points per game on 50-40-90 splits. And unlike KD and Golden State, Bird in 84 had no teammate above 17 points per game or close to a player like Steph Curry. And if you want to compare peak for peak...
Hold on, okay. I will agree Larry Bird didn't play with anyone that is as good as Stephen Curry. But like, come on. He averaged 28. And you got 4 other guys giving you over double digits. That's a squad. That's a squad. Like, come on. That's a squad.
State, Bird in 84 had no teammate above 17 points per game or close to a player like Steph Curry. And if you want to compare peak for peak, prime for prime, look at 86 Bird. As from start to finish that year, he dominated in all aspects. Of course, winning MVP, only 5 votes shy of being unanimous. Boston had the best record in the NBA. He won the 3-point contest, was Finals MVP, leading Boston in points, rebounds, and assists for the entire postseason with once again 50-40-90 splits. In my humble opinion, 84 Bird, 85 Bird, and especially 86 Bird are better than any version of Kevin Durant. And if you want to look at overall competition in the finals and the playoffs, Bird in his finals, he wasn't playing George Hill and J.R. Smith and a bum squad in the 2018 Cavs. The teams Bird was playing were the Showtime Lakers and the Houston Rockets with Hall of Fame big men. And looking at Bird's East, of course the 76ers, who made numerous finals, had tons of Hall of Fame talent, the Pistons, who had 3, 4, even 5 All-Star players from year to year, the Cavaliers, who had 3 All-Stars routinely, Dominique's Hawks, Jordan's Bulls, the underrated Bucks with Jack Sikma, Sidney Moncrief, and that crew. The 80s East from start to finish was absolutely loaded, and Bird's finals competition, unlike Kevin Durant, was far superior. Now, once again looking at Bird and Kevin Durant as individual players, the overall passing and playmaking gap is a massive divide between these two players. As Bird, unlike KD...
Now, regarding Larry Bird competition versus Kevin Durant competition, that could be a debate. If you think Bird competition was better than KD's, I'm not mad at you. You might have an argument with that. Now, in regarding like the teams, in my opinion, I think when KD was on the Warriors, when they won 2017 and 2018, I think those teams was better than any team Larry Bird was on when he was on the Celtics. I think most people say Bird's best team was the 86 Celtics. I think 2017 and 2018 Golden State Warriors is better than that team. That's my opinion, though. Golden State with Kevin Durant was different. That's no disrespect to the 86 Celtics. They're one of the greatest teams ever. I'm not knocking them. But Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Iguodala, like, man, that team was tough. That team was tough. Like, you gotta think about it. Stephen Curry, 2-time MVP, top 2 point guard in NBA history, best shooter in NBA history, Klay Thompson. In my opinion, he's the second best shooter in NBA history. He could score and defend. Kevin Durant, top 3 small forward in NBA history, league MVP, led the league in scoring 4 times. Draymond Green, defense, he won Defensive Player of the Year. He could pass, rebound, play defense. Andre Iguodala, 6th man on the team. He won NBA Finals MVP. Like, man, that team is tough. I ain't gonna lie. Don't get me wrong, the 86 Celtics was nice, but I'm taking 2017 and 2018 Warriors over any Boston Celtic team with Larry Bird. That's my opinion, though. That's no knock to any of Larry Bird's Celtics teams that won championships.
Now, once again looking at Bird and Kevin Durant as individual players, The overall passing and playmaking gap is a massive divide between these two players. As Bird, unlike KD, was a phenomenal passer in the fast break, the half court, and especially out of the post. And from Kevin McHale to Bill Walton to Danny Ainge, Larry Bird in his prime made all of his teammates better. And look, KD isn't a terrible passer or a terrible playmaker. He's gotten better in recent years. But comparing to Bird, a Magic-esque passer, it's not even a comparison between these two players in that regard.
Oh yeah, Larry Bird is most definitely a better passer than KD. That's not even a debate. That's not even a debate.
A Magic-esque passer, it's not even a comparison between these two players in that regard. And one highly underrated part about Bird's game was his rebounding. As 7 times in 8 years, he was top 10 in that category for the entire NBA. And if you want to compare scoring the basketball, I would say yes, Kevin Durant overall was the better scorer. But the overall gap in scoring ability isn't nearly as big as the gap in playmaking and rebounding. And if you want to be 100% honest, the best Larry Bird comparison in today's NBA is someone like Jokic. Great scorer, highly efficient, a beast on the boards, and a tremendous passer. Bird at 6'9", 6'10", was indeed Jokic before Jokic, and his overall offensive impact.
I get the Jokic comparison. The only thing I will say, I don't think Nikola Jokic is a great defender. I don't think he is. I think Larry Bird is a much better defender than Jokic. I get the comparison like offensively.
6'10", was indeed Jokic before Jokic, and his overall offensive impact on his teammates, his franchise, was far superior than someone like KD, who's a score-first player. And if you want to talk offensive impact, look at Boston in 1988 with Larry Bird compared to 89 without him. As in 88, with Bird, they were first in offensive rating, third in points per game, first in net, first in field goal percentage, first in 3 percentage, first in true shooting percentage, and first in assists. That year, Boston undoubtedly was the best offense in the entire NBA. But only 1 year later, without Larry Bird, they go from an all-time great offense to a mediocre or below average offense. As in 89, they ranked 8th in offensive rating, 10th in scoring, 14th in net, 6th in shooting percentage, 22nd in 3 percentage, and 10th in true shooting percentage. To give you guys some perspective of how big a drop-off that truly is, Boston at 88 was a better offense than the Showtime Lakers. But in 89, they went from an all-time great offense to just meh, not really that great. And the players they still had, they still have McHale, Parrish.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Larry Bird, I think, does make a bigger impact on his team than Kevin Durant just because he is a more all-around player than Kevin Durant.
Not really that great. And the players they still had, they still have McHale, Parrish, they had Reggie Lewis, and a really deep bench. If you look at Kevin Durant's career, yes, he was highly valuable. But in terms of Larry Bird value, that type of value, Kevin Durant never has been that valuable. As in any of his teams, Brooklyn, Phoenix, Oklahoma City, especially Golden State, his offensive value hasn't really transcended his team or the best players in the world. And speaking of Golden State, the big cloud over Kevin Durant's head is not winning a championship without the Warriors. As in OKC, Brooklyn, and Phoenix, so far to this point, he's produced 0 championships and only 1 finals appearance. In the post-Golden State era, Kevin Durant has failed miserably. And until he makes a finals with the championship as his team's best player, I don't want to hear any comparison about him versus Larry Bird. And look, like I said in the opening, KD being 35, having great longevity, is fantastic.
I'll say this. Larry Bird is a better basketball player than Kevin Durant, but talent-wise, I think is close. Talent-wise. As a basketball player, Larry Bird is better, but talent-wise is neck and neck. That's my opinion. I think I said this earlier in the video, though. I have KD as the 3rd greatest small forward in NBA history after LeBron and Larry Bird.
I don't want to hear any comparison about him versus Larry Bird. And look, like I said in the opening, KD being 35, having great longevity, is fantastic in a vacuum. But if you want to compare players for players, legacy for legacy, overall value for value, longevity stats aren't the way to go. As someone like Russell Westbrook, compared to Bird total stats-wise, is far superior. But like we always say, those longevity stats are highly misleading and not the way to go in a player comparison. So really in conclusion, Larry Bird, he's still a better overall player, the greater player, with much more accolades and accomplishments in less time. So that right there is the end of the video. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.
Yeah, that video with Uncut Hoops, I really didn't disagree with a lot with what he said. I mostly agree with what he said mostly regarding like Kevin Durant and Bird. I know there's people out there that do think Kevin Durant is better than Bird. I'm not one of them people, but Kevin Durant is still an all-time great. He's an NBA legend. In my opinion, he's a top 12 to 15 player in NBA history. But comparing KD and Larry Bird is more of an all-around player than Kevin Durant. I will give Kevin Durant scoring though. He is definitely a better scorer than Larry Bird. I don't think that's a question. I think KD is one of the top 3 to 5 scorers in NBA history. That's my opinion, though. Kevin Durant is one of the best scorers in NBA history. That shouldn't be a debate with anyone. That shouldn't be a debate. That man, Kevin Durant, averaged 27 points per game in his career. It shouldn't be a debate. He's one of the top 3 to 5 scorers in NBA history. So drop down in the comments below your thoughts about this video, your thoughts about Larry Bird, Kevin Durant, and I hope everyone have a blessed day. I'm out.